was this moment, this breakthrough moment where I realized that my God loves me so much that allowed me to go through this and gave me an exodus, a way forward, not just a way out, a way forward.
Angels and demons fighting in the deep end. I turn all my weakness into something I believe in. Every scar, every doubt, that's fuel when I speak. Welcome to the battle where the broken get free. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Angels and Demons Podcast, the podcast that speaks you are not alone. Today's guest spent over 35 years working as a general dentist in New York City. Suddenly, he discovered the power of horticulture therapy, the transformation, impact of horticulture therapy, and how it can improve your mental health and well-being. I would like to welcome you to a true horticulture expert who is recognized by multiple prominent universities where he holds certifications to speak as an expert in horticulture therapy to improve your mental health. Please help me welcome Dr. Trey Wilson.
Hey, it's so great to be here, Benny. Thank you so much for having me. Really a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Me too. From the day we tried to put a date on the calendar to get you on the podcast, and how patient, how kind you were, taking care of your mom, in California and making the time to come out. Really appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely.
As you know, this podcast is specifically on mental health. And when I heard about what you were doing in horticulture and how it contributes to mental health and overall health is really very interesting to me because I don't know a lot about it. And so I was wondering for our guest if you would be so kind, because this is entering a new element into mental health, if you'd be so kind just to tell us what is horticulture? And am I pronouncing that properly?
Horticulture? Oh, yeah. So horticulture is the science and the study of plants. And horticultural therapy is the use of plants as a modality to, as you said before, to improve health and well-being. And so it's like a companion therapy. You may have heard of art therapy or drama therapy or music therapy, that we work with clinicians to achieve very specific health and wellness goals specific to a patient population, whether it's persons who are incarcerated or people who've had a stroke, people who are on the spectrum, depression, dementia. So I design gardens and activities that meet the specific needs of that population and then create activities for them to improve their health and well-being.
How does that directly improve their health or well-being by participating in that?
Well, I think you have to think about what is well-being. So well-being is different from health. Health is really about just the mind and the body, and it's something that's usually measurable. Whereas well-being is, really about your purpose, your experience of living. And so we decide there are, depending on where you were trained, that there are multiple domains of well-being. So there's mental or cognitive well-being, there's social well-being, there's emotional well-being, there's physical well-being, there's vocational well-being, and there's spiritual well-being. And so horticultural therapy, depending on that patient population, would enhance each of those domains differently. So for instance, persons who are incarcerated. So horticultural therapy has a great impact on developing teamwork, about a sense of mastery and giving them confidence to perhaps think of vocational opportunities. It really enhances socialization. And so that's really critical to that population. Whereas persons with dementia may struggle with self-confidence, they also have a sense of isolation. And so horticultural therapy is going to work differently in that population, and depending on the activity, which we design always for success, it will always be successful. And if we produce activities that are not going to be successful, then it's not therapeutic. So this is largely what I'm describing is a clinical context, whether it's a hospital or a doctor's office, a psychologist's office, but it also has application in other settings too.
So you mentioned someone that's incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
How would horticulture and them participating in that improve their well-being?
Well, it was a great movie that came out, I think it was in the early 90s, based on a true story called Green Fingers. It was one of Helen Mirren's first films. And it was a true story about one of the hardest criminal prisons in London. And she came in and devised garden experiences for them to get their hands in the dirt, which has its own benefits, physical, mental, spiritual. So she would do soil meditations, and then they would design, co-create gardens together, and they'd learn to depend on each other. And they started as just so distrustful. But nature is this incredibly safe container that holds all things together in a really beautiful way. And so through the course of this movie, and it was not seamless, it was tough. But at the end, they compete in the Chelsea Flower Show, which is the big, ta-da in London for horticulturalists. And they get second place, which was amazing. So
That is amazing.
yeah. So Rikers Island has a particularly successful program, and it's been well documented. And there's lots of research on the effects of horticultural therapy for different populations in different journals. So I'd be happy to provide for your listeners or viewers detailed information about that. But that's, I think, important for people to know that this has been tested. Yeah.
So if you're in a place where someone's incarcerated and their hands are in the soil, or do they get the opportunity to plant the seeds of plants and over time watch them grow and participate in what it means? Because you give me or gift me a flower, or a plant, it's gonna die in 2 weeks. So I'm just I'm trying not to laugh, because I'm you are talking to someone that please just give me a cactus. Anything beyond that I would destroy. But I know that my neighbor and my neighbors that are out gardening, it's so therapeutic for them. I mean, they love it to where, I even ask, being a dental hygienist, I'll ask patients, what do you like to do? And they'll say, I love to garden. I love to spend time and taking care of my plants around my house. And I say to them, that's your hobby? That's what you like to do? And they're like, we prefer that over vacationing. My husband and I will get out. It's time together. We get to watch things grow. We get to make water fountains and, design different elements to it. And it's just, I as I'm thinking about that, I'm like, it is the benefit from someone incarcerated similar to that, where they get to participate? What sensory elements are triggered, or what are you looking for to see growth in a healthy aspect with someone in that state?
There's so many different aspects to your question, but I'll try to keep it really simple. I first want to just say that you need to spend an afternoon with me and your thumb is green, and that's kind of my mantra, is there is no such thing as a brown thumb.
I love
and
that.
there was no such thing. We were created to be stewards of earth and of nature. And if you say that you kill everything except cactus, it's just because you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. And come spend an afternoon with me, and
That's so kind of you.
You will see. You're going to be competing at the Chelsea Flower Show yourself someday.
Hey, that's nice of you to say.
Yeah. So yes, seed sowing, for example, you make that illustration, and nature is really metaphoric, right? I mean, and many great teachers throughout history, spiritual and otherwise, Buddha and Jesus.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yes. So pruning. So pruning is when you cut off the diseased or dead parts of a plant so that new growth can come forth. And so pruning is metaphoric for what happens in our lives when we are pruned by life experience, by our own choosing, to take away those things that don't serve us well. The stories we tell ourselves that are not true. And we address that, whether it's through CBT, whether it's through, talk therapy, whatever modality is being used, is we're replacing the stories we tell ourselves with new stories. And so pruning is metaphoric in nature for ourselves because it allows new growth to come forward by taking away the things that don't belong.
That's very interesting. So essentially you're saying like the parts of the plant that are dead or the weeds that are around it are robbing the nutritional value of that plant. And therefore, when you take away those elements and though it looks like you're almost hurting, it's stimulating a regrowth process. Am I understanding that right?
Your thumb is so green.
No, it's not. You can't say that.
It is.
It's really not.
You picked up on that quickly. You got it together.
Well, I'm listening to an expert in horticulture, so yeah. I'm just, I try to pay attention to what I'm listening. But my mom has plants all around her house, and she will take a plant and nurse it back to health and give it to someone. So she has that. But she's helped me with so many and I can't. But I'm going to take you up on that afternoon.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot into that. I just feel, you mentioned like a conversation. Are you looking for a peaceful serenity in your daily life? And I think with mental health and all the different aspects that you mentioned about what it means to be healthy, there's something very much deeper that you have connected with horticulture and the well-being and health of an individual. Can you help me draw that correlation a little bit better for listeners so that they can understand that spending time in that department is so key for so many ingredients in having a healthy life?
I think I can best answer that question by illustrating a personal experience I had in my own life. So yes, I was a dentist for 35 years in New York City. And so I enjoyed my profession for some time, and then it became burdensome. And then I experienced a fairly profound level of depression, for which medication could not really assist me because I couldn't concentrate on and be a dentist, which requires such precision. And so I went to my pastor, and he said, "You just need to pray more." And I was like, been there, done that. I'm still depressed. And so for reasons that I didn't understand then, is that when I would leave New York City and go out to my house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, one of the most beautiful places in America, I would jump out of the car in my suit, with my suit still on, and grab a shovel and start gardening. And when I grabbed the shovel and I had my hands in the dirt, you know what? The sky was blue. And I didn't understand. I just knew that it was working. It's something that was happening for me, within me. And I did that for 12 years, cycling back and forth between this self-prescribed therapeutic experience of gardening until I recognized that it was rooted in science and it was something I could actually study. And that's when I said, the purpose of life is to be happy.